Hi, hello, and welcome to episode 6 of the Planetary Systems devlog series. This episode is entirely dedicated to the player character animations. If you caught episode 5, then you saw how we polished the different aspects of the player character. The other big part of making a character is making it come to life with animations. Since the player has control of their character, the animations need to match up with different movements that the player can do. For our game, the player can walk in all directions, crouch walk, run in all directions, and jump. In addition to these movements, we have a few idle animations, one for just standing and one while crouching, since they can just hold that position if the player chooses to. Right now, you're watching me work on the simple walk forwards animation, and I'm going to get into more details later on in the video. Now, this video isn't meant to be a tutorial by any means, but I'm kind of just going to walk you through the process of how we create our animations. So most of our animations we're setting to be 24 frames per second. So what we're doing is pulling up the action editor in Blender here, and we're using our rig, we're moving it around, we're manipulating the bones to set certain positions of the animation. So when you're walking, you're lifting one knee, maybe your arms are swinging, your chest and your spine may be moving, your head. So all these things we take into account. And once we have a position for a certain frame that we're happy with, we just select the bones and lock it into that position in the action editor. And that's kind of like the process of setting all of those. So once you set a bunch of different frames, Blender will blend through those and create a fluid movement. So all those little orange dots on the left side are the different frames we're setting for. Now this is the jump animation. We've already done the walk animations at this point, so we wanted to go from a standing position to a crouch down and then a leap up into the air. And you'll see I chose to have the arms also kind of stretch out up into the air, kind of like a balance thing. Oh yeah, here's a reference. I use references a lot. References are super helpful if you're doing animations. I would say probably necessary if you're doing animations, unless you're like an expert, then props to you. But even just standing in your room and imagining yourself doing those movements, you can kind of take note of what your body is doing to jump. So your toes may bend up when your heel lifts off the ground, you know? Now we've moved on to the running animation. This one is very similar to the walk animation, but with a few tweaks. So we set this one to be 16 frames per second instead of 24, because it's obviously going to be faster. It's a running animation. And then another thing that's different is the arms and the legs kind of expand and stretch out more than with a walking animation. When you're just walking, your arms aren't swinging a whole lot, they're pretty much to your side, but when you're running, they're coming all the way up to your shoulder height, and your legs are stretching out much further. So that was an important thing to make sure we did with the running animations, is kind of get that form, as you can see right here. And looking back, I'd say the most difficult animations I had to do were the backwards animations. So we said earlier that the player is able to run and walk in all directions. On the keyboard, that's like, WASD movement, right? Sometimes you walk backwards, sometimes you walk forwards. Anyways, we needed to have these backwards animations, which isn't entirely like forward animations, because, I mean, think about it. If you're walking backwards, you're more concerned with your balance, probably. And same with running, is you're probably leaning much more forward to keep your balance. So there's a lot of small differences between forward movement and backwards movement that were really key to get. Even the way the legs move are much different. And the last animation I'm going to go over today is the sideways running animation. This one was also very tricky to get because we wanted it to start and stop at the same location, so it's starting from almost an idle position and moving to the left. So it has to have that kind of twist movement. So moving from to the left and to the right is a little tricky, especially when you have to rotate your player a little bit. Alright, and with that, thank you for watching the video. Thank you to our Patreon supporters who are continuing to support us. You can follow us on all our social medias. They're also linked in the description below. But thanks for watching, and have a good one. Bye-bye.